It shouldn't go forward. It's got to stop.
Okay, so let's
Because when I
clarify.
speak to my neighbors in Ward 3 and Ward 7, they've seen this happen before. A developer comes in, they put in a curb cut, they pay whatever fine happens, and the city never sues them to take them to court to pay the money to restore the curb cut. They get a curb cut for life. We want it stopped. I gotta catch a train in New York.
So just to clarify that anyone else that has any questions on this, the ANCs don't issue stop work orders.
I'll just make a quick comment.
I haven't called upon you, sir, yet, so please wait a moment, and I'll be happy to run that. So, when this issue came up, and when Kevin contacted the applicant about coming here tonight, since we were going to be taking the matter up, it became very clear that his inclination was to ask for a postponement for the Public Space Committee meeting on the issue. So I suggested to Kevin that if the Public Space Committee granted the new date in September, then that's something that we could take off of the agenda for tonight, and then we could, put it on in September. And we only did that when we had confirmation from the Public Space Committee that the issue was not going to be heard until September. So just to clarify that. So, sir, go ahead.
Thank you. I live in the adjacent house to this development, and I just want to put on the table that the contractor did come to us before, to my house and to the other adjacent property, and did disclose plans to start the construction. We do have concerns though with issues of transparency. We've been talking recently about my fence line being impacted. He did his excavation to the point where beyond the property line, where my fence actually fell into the excavated area. Bricks from my property, I would see it a foot to 2 feet into the property line and all falling into the excavation. So my quality of life is directly being impacted beyond neighboring development. So I'm concerned, in all full disclosure, the developer and I are speaking about making us whole, but something has to be done in terms of some communication to the neighborhood, and also we need to have some agreement in place so that my property is restored to its previous condition.
So I would suggest that we contact the chief building inspector at DCRA.
Yeah, actually, I have very pertinent experience with this because there's a developer that's building a building next to mine, and they have knocked down my fence, and there is a huge hole right beyond my property line, and they have come over a little ways over on my property line when they destroyed my fence, and the fence on my western edge is completely gone, and right below it is a huge hole.
Right.
And it was exposed. I complained to the city. They came and they did an inspection. They didn't put a stop work order on him. They ordered him to put a barrier fence so
Right.
my yard is not exposed to like a 5-foot hole.
Right.
And so I know exactly how you feel about that. And the ANC cannot issue a stop work order. If I could, I would have stopped that developer who tore down my fence.
To be clear, my objective is not to derail his
Right.
construction. I just want to make sure that our discussion comes to a conclusion.
Right.
The issue of the curb cut is something I have mixed feelings about,
Okay.
obviously, because we have limited parking on the street to start off with. The school
I
occupies
understand that.
1/4 of the eastern block of the street, and the church occupies the northern portion of the street. So, with all of the development, it's going to be really a fight each night to find a spot for those of us who don't have located parking.
And I realize that. And the developer told me that the whole purpose of it is to him to talk to his neighbors, to reach out to them and address any concerns that they have. And he'll come back here in September and see what the neighbors say about whether they will go forward with a curb cut. And I'm very responsive to what the community says. As there was another issue in my single member district with another developer who wanted, you've seen if you were here from the beginning, wanted to put a certain development in. The neighbors are against it, and I will be opposed to it. And the same thing with this curb cut. There's nothing that this ANC can do to stop him from working other than to call the city, call out an inspector, which has been done. The inspector will come and visit the site. And I can tell you from my experience, because this happened to me last week, and if you go to my house, you will see my western side of my fence completely gone, and there's a 5-foot hole. And they have come over my property line because my fence was beyond my property line. So they have gone past my property line. They've made promises of repairing my fence when they laid the foundation. And the inspector came out and he got them to agree in front of him that they will replace the fence. But the fact that my fence came down and they had come a little bit further into my property line did not garner them. And I was urging them, and it was not only me, but it was a neighbor on the other side who had problems with this developer also, urging them to put a stop work order, and the inspector wouldn't do it. So this ANC can't do that. And being an ANC commissioner, I didn't have any influence with this inspector to do it either. So, but the inspector will visit the site, and anything improper will be taken care of. And even if someone does do a curb cut, restoring that is not that hard to do, and has been done routinely, and would be done. So.
And if there is an attempt to actually put in a curb cut before there's a permit, then yes, that can be stopped. And I'm sure that you and your neighbors would quickly call us to make sure that we do stop that. So, well, thank you very much. We have received 2 grant applications. 2 organizations have requested financial support for specific activities. And we will hear from those organizations very briefly. And then there are recommendations from the grants committee. So the first is the Mount Vernon Triangle Community Improvement District.
Unfortunately, the director could not be here this evening for any kind of presentation, but all the materials that the committee asked for were submitted.
Okay, well, the committee did request that presentation be made, so we'll move that to our September meeting. Girls in Action.
I did receive a budget, but I would like them to revise the budget to be $1,500. And the reason for that, because it's over $1,500, as was Girls in Action. And we asked them to revise their budget to be a total of $1,500. And the reason being is that when I submit a quarterly report, grants are very highly scrutinized, and saying that, well, they spent more, they would like to see a receipt for what was spent with the money. And if it adds up to $1,500, that would be very simple, very easy to explain, and it wouldn't cause any problems with the auditor's office. So if you could ask them to revise their budget to be a total of $1,500, the amount that we would be awarding them if their grant is approved.
I think that's a qualification, Alex, that also needs then to be put with the application, because that was not presented. You asked for something and they provided it.
We will be revising our
And I don't
grant
think-
application so that what we're expecting, what the committee needs to see is provided initially instead of having to go back to the applicants
I
repeatedly.
mean, just because somebody goes over in the amount that they've already spent, the money that they would get in the grant from this group only pays a portion of it, should indicate that there are more expenses. I mean, some of these you can't.
If the applicant was represented tonight, then I would have a different recommendation than putting it off. We would deal with it tonight, but there isn't a representative from the applicant here. So is there a representative for Girls in Action?
Next, and Alex, at work right now, and I gotta revise the same thing that all I got to do, gotta do the same thing.
All right, well then we will see both of these applicants in September. Any other new business? Hearing none. Old business? Hearing none. Approval of minutes of the June 3rd 2014 meeting. In the interest of time, I'll make a motion that Advisory Neighborhood Commission 6E approve the minutes of the June 3rd, 2014 meeting with any recommendations that have been submitted to our minute taker, and I'll ask for a second.
I'm second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Approval of Treasurer's Report, Mr. Treasurer.
Okay. Currently, our checking account has a balance of $54,387.01, and so all checks have cleared our account. I move that the treasurer's report be accepted.
I second the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you very much. Approval of expenses.
I move that ANC 6E pay the amount of $125 for Karen Loveridge for the preparation of our July meeting minutes, and pay the amount of $400 to Miller Copying Service for the printing of our July newsletter.
I second the motions. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Approval of quarterly report.
I passed around the quarterly report for the third quarter for fiscal year 2014, and I asked that ANC 6E approve the quarterly report.
I second the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you very much. Announcements.
So I'm doing my annual National Night Out. This will be my third time doing it. And this year it's going to be August 5th. So we won't be having a meeting next month, but I always do a community walk on National Night Out. So come on out, look for the flyer. It should be a lot of fun.
Any other announcements from members of the commission? I see Naomi Mitchell from Councilmember Wells' office. Anything you want to share with us, Naomi?
Yeah, I have a funny thing here. Last month, I think it was when I was here, when you were talking about group-to-group signs. So I noticed some in my office. So I bought some. Don't need any of the things that talk about the fines and encouraging people to pick up after their dogs. So I have them already.
Well, that's great. And so are these being printed up by, who would it be, DPW or who's printing?
Let's see, it says, I think it's the
Rolling it down?
health, but it just says government and it just, you got plenty of time.
Okay, because we certainly can get a lot more of those and get them in the rec center and,
I want to give you some samples of them.
great. Anything else coming up, activities?
Can't think of anything, except we're all welcome in this August recess. The council itself goes on recess July 15th, and will be on recess until September 15th. So that means there'll be no hearings, no council meetings, etc. So any staff that you've been wanting to get to will be sitting around all summer, waiting on folks to bother them with some real work. So thank you.
I'm sure we'll keep you busy anyway.
I'm sure you-
Any other announcements? Yes, sir.
Good evening, my name is Eugene White. I'm with Second Northwest Cooperative, and I'm here to inform that we have a new administration. I'm now the president of the board of directors, and we are seeking to reach out to the ANC, the city council, and whomever else that we can speak with in order to better our community. And also, we can reach out to you to assist you in whatever is necessary to create a report for us, okay? I remember once upon a time in our last administration, and ones prior, it was somewhat like a block, okay? And if you all know about that, I would rather not get into it right now, but, you know, that's dead, it's gone, it's no more, no longer. And we're seeking to move forward, you know, with all the positive views and ideas that I hear here, as well as the ones that we have to share with you. So eventually, we're going to set up a meeting with the ANC, PSA, as well as the city council members, or its representatives, to come down to our community to meet with our membership, because as you may know, we have an abundance of elders there who can't get out to speak with you guys, and I go back and I share the information with them, okay? So that's what we're looking forward to, and I appreciate having the meeting here and allowing me the opportunity to share.
So I want to extend on Mr. White's one of my constituents, and it's been a long year and a half that I've been trying to communicate with this community. And so my extent has been literally walking around the complex and talking to individuals, because I was not allowed to speak to the community as a group. So it's been a bit of grieful for me. And so I thank you for coming, and thank you for being open. I welcome the newness and all that. So I'm looking forward to, quit walking around the parking lot.
Well, congratulations, Mr. White, and we look forward to working with you, of course.
Oh, also, congratulations, Mr. White. Before Rochelle was the ANC commissioner, and I was not allowed to speak.
That's why I said there were some of you there that I recognize, but I know that you had an issue, a great issue.
It is a breath of fresh air, and I'm glad that you ascended to the position that you have now.
Well, great. It is now 8:56, and we need to leave the building in the next 4 minutes. I will call your attention to our next meeting date, which is the 2nd of September. And we wish everyone a very happy holiday and summer. I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. We stand adjourned. Good night.
Yay! I'm not going to this Saturday. Okay. Enjoying my long weekend. Hi, I'm good. You're great. I was mail. I'll send you this mail.
You need to come and, do, barbecue